The pylons, as they call them, they actually welcome guests into the museum. They start outside, and these are etches of soldiers. There's a panel below it that tells their story. When you read it, you can internalize it, and it speaks to you.
So visiting the National Museum of the United States Army at Fort Belvoir helped kind of show how the National Guard is a big part of the overall story, all the pieces that we play in the big Army picture. And each display you walk through, if you're looking for it, you can see the National Guard was a part of that.
One of the things that the museum does show is how those who have worn the uniform legitimately have a love for freedom, and wanting that freedom and wanting to secure freedom for the citizens of our great country.
So as we walked past the Medal of Honor recipients that are displayed on the pylons, you can see First Lieutenant Charles Tanner of the 1st Delaware Infantry, who earned his Medal of Honor at the Battle of Antietam. His unit today is still part of the Delaware Guard as the 198th Signal Battalion. And there's little symbols throughout the displays that kind of show you that it's not just Iraq and Afghanistan where we've been a big piece of the Army's story, but going all the way back to the start of the museum at 1775, the early militia units that had been around since 1636 in some cases, that had been part of the early formation of the Continental Army and the early battles at places like Lexington, Concord, Trenton, and Princeton. So you could go through these stories and you could see that as a component, we're part of that overall Army tradition.
And it's told from the soldier's viewpoint. So it's telling the story of the soldier, not the story of the Army. So that means something. You can personalize it and really take that in.
I remember reading several books, and one of the books was called About Face. It's by a guy who was a retired colonel, David Hackworth, but he talked about the nuclear mortar round that they worked with briefly during his time in the military, and they had a copy of it. I mean, obviously they didn't have a nuclear mortar round sitting there in the museum, but I've always wondered, well, hey, what does that look like? And being able to see how big that mortar round was, I mean, that's phenomenal to me. It's a piece of our history. Thank God we never have had to use that, but seeing that we were developing those kinds of capabilities during the Cold War, that helped me understand, hey, we're serious about this.
So the one thing that I found really significant and very powerful was the 12-minute movie that they play in the theater. The theater itself is set up in a panoramic 306-degree screen. The video itself covers the Army values, and there were certain portions during the video that really struck a nerve. Kind of put the hairs on the back of your neck up a little bit because we all share those values.
So going through the National Museum of the Army, there's a lot of items that are on display there that kind of connect us back into the story, but one particular display, displayed a small metal corps badge that was worn by a Philadelphia soldier from the Philadelphia Brigade, or the 106th Pennsylvania Infantry in this case. That was worn by a soldier from my old unit, during the American Civil War, and it really showed me that here in Fort Belvoir, in the museum for the entire United States Army, there's an individual item, there's a little piece that connects back to the story of the unit that I came from. I would encourage young National Guard soldiers or people that are new to our formation to take a trip down to Fort Belvoir. A lot of times when we hear about the story of the Army, we hear about places like Gettysburg or the Battle of the Bulge, or the capture of Fallujah or Baghdad, but a lot of times we don't understand the role that we as an organization have played in that. And when you walk those halls in the National Museum in the United States Army, you're going to see displays of soldiers wearing patches from the division or the brigade that you serve in today, and it really just kind of shows you how integral we were in the successes of the Army, both at home and abroad.